Today I want to show you how to combine subjects into a new background and focus and adjust your focus so that it looks realistic. So for instance, if you are going to add several subjects into a new background and put them at varying depths, you're going to have some that are out of focus, some that are slightly out of focus, and then some that are going to be very, very sharp. So to make it look as realistic as possible, that is what I'm going to show you how to do. So I have a picture here of Olivia. She's dressed up as a little cat lady. And she has, you can see Sylvester, our fat cat, on her lap. I did take him out of a different picture, one where I liked her posed in this picture, but I liked the way he was sitting in another one, so I've combined those already, and now he's on her lap there. But I have all these other cats that I have cut out of some stock photos that I downloaded from Dreamstime, and I'm going to kind of just position them around the room in different places, and I'm going to adjust the focus and the brightness, all of that stuff to make them look like they are really there. So I have some cats that are full grown and then some kittens, so I want to make sure that I get them all the right size, and I'm going to kind of play around with this and see what I can come up with. So I was trying to look and see what kind of spots I can put them in. Like I think I can put one right back here on the shelf and it'll block this little candle enough, but it'll make it appear like it's sitting there. I can probably get one on the shelf here. You can see I've got a little one on the top poking out here, and so on. Like this cat, for instance, is way too bright with way too much contrast, so we'll need to adjust that. This one right here with the books looks pretty close to, the right contrast and brightness to match the setting. So let's get started here and show you how to move some of these around. This cat, and I'm using him as a comparison because he is truly in he's the correct size because this is a real photo. So using him as kind of my guide, and he's a very big cat, then that should help me size some of these other ones. Like this cat is too big right now, and I need to scale it down a bit. Kind of more like that. So I think that's good there. These two kitties are together. Let's move them kind of over here. And size-wise, they look pretty good, maybe a little bit smaller. And they're way too bright. So I'm going to go to Image. Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, and I'm going to lower the brightness and the contrast a bit. They're pretty bright. Okay, so those two are good. And what's going to happen with the focus is she should be very sharp and in focus. Everything else kind of in that same plane there and at her feet should be in focus. And then some of these, like back here up on the shelf, those are going to be a little more out of focus, or the one I put up here. So let's do one that will fit there. It's probably going to be this one. And I need to make it a little smaller. Okay. The brightness looks pretty good because it's under the lamp, so we probably want to keep it a little bit bright. I am going to create a layer mask, and I'm doing that because the feet here should not be seen. So let me get my soft brush, and let's do about a 15 or so percent opacity. And oops, make sure your black brush is selected, and then just erase. And so I'm erasing the cat's feet so that the couch appears in front. And just kind of check it there. Okay. So that one looks good. I think the size is accurate. And then I like this little gray guy here looking up at Sylvester. It's a little bit big, so let's make it a little smaller like that. And maybe not quite as bright, so I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness, and the contrast a little. One thing I noticed on this one is his tail. It looks like it picked up a little bit of the white background. So again, let me create a layer mask. I'm going to zoom in close on this and erase some of that tail. So I've got my black brush and make it a little smaller and get that off of there. So I go through, resize everything and put them, where I want them to go. And I adjust the brightness and the contrast. And then I go through and adjust the focus so that they look more realistic. So I'm just getting a little bit of that off of here. Okay, you can see this tail here in front too. We'll need some of that. I'm not going to move every single one right now, so try not to keep my tutorials too super long. So let me zoom out. So you can see that's much better now. It blends in. So let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to this little orange kitty here. I want him to be at her feet, and yes, I'm blocking this one, so let me get this one out of the way. Set him right here for now. So I want him to be kind of curled up at her feet, and realistically he's going to be more in front of her feet, so we need to put him there. And he's too big. And one of the other things that I will do is go back once I get all of this done and I've done my editing, I'll do some dodge and burn to create some realistic shadows around each of the cats so they don't appear like, some of them just look like they're floating. This one, because you can't see the shadow, looks like it blends in well. But some of them here definitely would need a little bit of a shadow underneath them. I have a whole tutorial on creating a shadow. If you want to check that out, please do. Featuring Moana, I believe. Okay, so we're good there. Maybe a little too bright, so let's lower that. I think that's good. Okay. And then let's go on to this one. Be cute on the bookshelf if I can get it to, if I can get that to work. Maybe. I don't want him to look too small. I think that could work right up there. And lower the brightness a bit because he's up on that shelf. Create a layer mask. When I zoom in, I'm going to take out these glasses. And And I'm going to do a little bit of moving to kind of put it more on level. There we go. Yes, you can see a little bit of this background behind. So what I'm going to do is hide that layer for a second. And I'm covering up this where I added in this bookshelf into this background. It wasn't there before. So you can see how this looks strange here. So I'm going to try to cover that up. And what I'm going to do is click back on the background layer, use my clone tool. I might be able to use content aware. Let's try that one first and see how well this fills in. And go to fill, content aware, hit OK. And that was not even remotely what the stuff looked like. But sometimes you can do it enough to just hide that, like that red that was there. Let me see what happens when I turn back on the cat. So there's still some of this. Basically, want to fill that in so it looks like bookshelf. And that's just not going to do it. So let me do the clone stamp. I'm going to clone this area. And bring it down just some. All I'm trying to do is fill in the area that is visible, that you see even when the cat is on there. Just enough here. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, so now when I put the cat back in, there we go, that's much better. Now on that cat layer, I have a layer mask. I'm going to still darken it a little bit more. Whoops. Make sure the layer is selected, not the layer mask. So a little darker. Less contrast. I'm going to go to image adjustments, hue, saturation, and lower the brightness there as well. Okay. So I think I'm going to delete out this book. Really know how real that looks, so like that. And then I think we should be good. I'm gonna go around the cat a little bit at a much lower opacity to kind of blend in the edges a bit so it doesn't look so cut and pasted. Like this. Okay, so from here, it looks like all I need to do is fill in a little bit more of the shelf and the cat, and that one should be good to go. And you don't always have to spend much time on things like that, and that's it. You know, that where that cat is sitting, many people might not even notice it. And you can see how out of focus these books are, which means I'm going to have to make that cat out of focus as well. So, because otherwise he sticks out too much. Let's go back to the clone stamp. Just filling in the shelf. And then I'm going to go back to the cat layer and fill in the cat to cover up that brown. Okay, much better. Now, let's start with the focus. I know I just spent probably more time on that than needed, but so we've got the little kitty up here. Everything's out of, pretty blurred over here except that. So to make something out of focus or blurred, you're going to go to Filter, Blur, and then the Gaussian Blur. And by default, 5.4 pixels is what came up because that was what I used the last time for the last picture I edited. Clearly, that is way too out of focus, so I need to lower that until I feel like it matches the surroundings. So, this is normal, and then it just needs to be a little out of focus. Kind of like that. Okay. Let me show you on a few more of these. I'm not going to spend time adjusting the sizes and brightness of all these cats, or you'll be watching me for an hour. But let's get another one here. So, let's say this cat right here. This cat's already just slightly out of focus, but this one's sitting next to her or him. Looks like it should be a little more out of focus to kind of, again, fit the surroundings. So let me get it ready to go here. So first I'm going to adjust the brightness real quick. It's a little darker. Okay. I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and that's a little bit too out of focus. So this is too sharp. The one I used for the cat up on the shelf is too out of focus. So I'm going to go kind of 0.5 like that. So it blends in a little more. So basically I'm going to go through, do that same thing on all of these. This cat looks good here. He was already there. This one might need to be a little bit smaller. And, and once I create the shadow and stuff like that, it'll help those things blend in. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up doing this. If you want to stay tuned and watch the rest of the tutorial, you'll see the speed edit of me adjusting the cats and editing the rest of this image. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys.